Good evening, race fans, and welcome to Podium Esports coverage of the 2021 Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association, live from iRacing's virtual Bristol Motor Speedway in Bristol, Tennessee. James Pike, the voice of Podium Esports here, alongside Jesse Awuji and Evan Pashelko, Blake McCandless, our pit reporter for the evening, Ryan Bauer, our producer, with cameras provided to us by Dougie Beer. Jesse, we'll come to you first to kick off the broadcast here. You've had a busy summer, a few busy announcements that you've made over the course of the last few months, but we're going to be in for some fun tonight as well. Winner's going to walk away tonight with $5,000 and the chance to go live virtually on Notable Live with the NFL's all-time leading rusher, Emmitt Smith. That's a big-time prize for whoever comes away with the checkered flag tonight.
Yeah, definitely a big-time prize, that's for sure. We got a lot of racers, 40 racers who are going to be competing tonight in the main event, and they're going to be going after it. And they're racing at Bristol. Bristol is not a place for the faint of heart. It is a tough track. I mean, these drivers are going to have to wheel these Gen 7 Cup cars around that track for 150 laps. It is going to get brutal. There is going to be some carnage. It's going to be fun, but they're fighting for $5,000 in cash prizes and also a chance to hang out with, virtually at least, with Emmitt Smith, all-time leading NFL rusher. Amazing guy, someone we're partnering up with to start our Jesse Awuji Motorsports here in 2022.
It's also going to be the chance for somebody in chat to get the chance to chat with Jesse via Notable Live as well. You can take a look here. You can see all that you need to know. You win tonight's race. You get the chance to chat with Emmitt and potentially a little bit more there. Just follow the instructions on your screen and make sure you head on over to events.notable.live to have your shot to chat with Emmitt Smith. I wonder if we have any Cowboys fans in tonight's race. I have a feeling that there might be a little bit of extra motivation for them to try and win this. But as Jesse said, Evan, next gens at Bristol Motor Speedway, traditionally with the Gen 6s, we're looking at lap times of about maybe 15.1, 15.2, 15.3 on average. These cars, the next gens, we're dropping a full second from that. I've seen practice times in the 13s, if you can believe it. So Bristol's already a pretty fast track, but these next gen cars are only going to make it even faster.
Well, this is going to be the most challenging race that we've seen yet, right? I mean, this all started last year with the Winter Bowl. We've gone to Nashville, Daytona, and Coda. But let's be honest, Bristol's a different animal. These next-gen cars add just a little added layer of difficulty, right? I mean, we're talking about some of the best on the sim coming out here trying to get their share, if they're a full-time ERA driver, of $5,000 in prize money on the line tonight. But they all don't have a ton of experience in these cars, right? So that could level the playing field. Expect all 40 drivers to really be competitive.
I have a lot of feelings about this and a lot of excitement bubbling within me because of the point that I've just made, because this is still a relatively new combo, and I think the drivers are going to take a little bit to try and get used to the mechanical grip. They had the chance to race in their heat races on Monday night, so there's some experience throughout the field with this combo, but it's not like, just coming back to Bristol with the Gen 6s like people have been able to do for the last 6 or 7 years. This is an all-new car. We'll see how well handles around at this racetrack tonight. We're going to now talk to some of the drivers that you're going to watch compete in tonight's Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl, and the first of them is the winningest driver here on Podium Esports. It's Garrett Range. He's going to be driving the number 2 machine for Elliott Sadler Esports. Garrett, how excited are you for tonight, and what's it like to wheel the next gens around Bristol Motor Speedway?
Man, it's a little different. These cars are a very big swing from the cup cars that we're used to, but I think it's gonna be fun tonight. We've done a bunch of laps on the bottom here, and it seems like the next gen cars like that, so it'll be interesting.
Should be a lot of fun. Have you had the chance to practice this much? Are you, do you feel ready and prepared for this as best you can, or does that smile on your face tell us everything we need to know?
I would say I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm somewhere in between the two. I mean, I would love to put more time in, but I feel like I'm at least a little prepared. Experience is limited to Monday to Wednesday, specifically Monday and Wednesday pre-race. But we'll see. About 2 hours in the car total, minus the the All-Star race for the Coke Series. That's about it. We'll see how it goes.
Should be intriguing. Beyond that, do you have any expectations based off of what we saw on Monday night? Did you get a feel for what might happen tonight in terms of the racing we'll see?
You know, it's hard to say because a lot of the heat races on, I think there was snake split, so people were getting pretty strung out. I think tonight's race is going to be. I think the first 50 laps will tell you how it's going to go for how people are going to be able to race around each other. But I mean, I don't think any of us really know what to expect because I would say the mass majority do not race these cars on the regular. So it's going to be a learning curve for all of us when it comes to what strategies to play and what works, how to save, all that stuff.
And finally, tonight's prize, $5,000, the chance to chat with Emmett Smith via Notable Live. You want to tell us what it would mean to you to be able to snag all that, chat with a football legend, and bring home some cash?
Man, it would be awesome. We went to Coda for the last event, and I think Bristol's a little bit more my style. So fingers crossed, and hopefully I'll be talking to you in a few hours.
Wouldn't be the first time you've done that. Thanks for the time, and we'll see you out there on track in just a bit.
Appreciate it. Talk to you later.
Garrett Manian's driver, the number 2 machine you're going to see out there on track a little bit later. A few more drivers that we'll have the chance to chat to. Jesse Awuji, let's get you up here and we'll give you the chance to chat with eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series playoff driver Logan Clampett.
Logan, how's it going?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. So how are you feeling about tonight's bout? I mean, you are about to race against 39 other really, really good drivers at Bristol, and not just in just your normal Gen 6 car. You're doing it in the Gen 7. How are you feeling about that? And just how has practice been and qualifying been for you?
Well, Jesse, I'm not feeling too well about the race. I mean, this car is definitely, different for sure. It's definitely hard to adapt to, especially, when you just turn, thousands and thousands of laps. I turned thousands of laps for our playoff race at Bristol in the Gen 6. So hopping in this car, it's totally different, just like the steering and the throttle and stuff. I feel like you just have to be just perfect steering wise, getting onto the throttle just to get the car to turn. So it's, my qualifying lap wasn't the best. I know I can run an O. So, I mean, hopefully we can just kind of grind our way up there and be there at the end.
When it comes to racing virtually at Bristol, there's all different kind of strategies. What do you think is the key to winning a race at Bristol? Because it's so much different than any other track on the schedule.
Definitely positioning. Positioning really helps because it's just so hard to pass here at Bristol. So, I mean, I'm not sure in this car exactly, because I feel like the bottom line in this car is pretty good. So it'll be interesting. Obviously, track position is most important at most tracks, but I think just staying up front, like first or second or third the whole entire time, I think you're going to be sitting pretty if you can stay up there.
Yeah, and that's very true. Now, although, the bottom probably feels really good in these cars, this track is variable banking. So the banking increases as you go up the track. How do you think that's going to affect the racing, especially in these Gen 7 Cup cars?
I don't think it'll affect it, a whole lot, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see just where everyone goes and stuff. I'm curious to see where these really fast guys are running, if they're running mainly, the top or the bottom. I know for a hot lap it's probably faster on the bottom. I didn't do a whole ton of practice before this race. I don't really know a whole lot what I'm doing race wise. So I guess we'll see, and hopefully we can end up top 5 at the end of the night and maybe win the thing.
And if you end up winning, you'd go home with, well, you're already sitting at home, but you would stay at home there with $4,000. So what would you use that $4,000 for?
Put it away, man. I mean, if I win every time I win a big chunk of money, I just put it away for future use, investments, or whatever. I don't really have any plans on buying anything big.
Smart man. I like that. I like to hear that. Taking the money and using it for investments. That's smart. I'm a business guy myself, so I like to hear things like that.
Definitely.
All right. Thank you so much, Logan. And back to you, James.
Thank you, Jesse.
Indeed, there's Logan Clampett. We move from Logan to another playoff driver in this 2021 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series season. Vicente Salas is with Evan Pusoko.
Oh, hello.
Well, he is your defending race winner here with the eRacing Association. Vicente, how's it going? Coming off of a race win at COTA. This is a very different challenge. What's going to be the game plan to be the first repeat winner in the ERA?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty solid. I think the setup's definitely going to be something to tackle. Car's a bit tighter, so it's going to be about saving that right front. And obviously, with how crucial the dirty air is and keeping your car in clean air, we'll see who can do it the best.
Speeds in these next-gen cars at Bristol a little bit quicker than what we saw in the Coke race just a handful of days ago. How much seat time do you have in these next-gen cars, and what kind of challenge does that present in tonight's race as opposed to if we were using the current platform?
I think with these next-gen cars, the difference is just center speed. These cars are probably about 2 to 3 tenths quicker than our current gen car. So with those amped up center speeds, like I was saying before, it's going to be super, super crucial about saving that right front tire and kind of keeping your car out of trouble. So I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be my first big race in the next gen. I haven't really ran it too much, but yeah, I'm super excited.
Bristol in general, and take the car out of it, it's a 150 lap dash, I'll say, with $5,000 total purse on the line. Do you have to kind of go out there and attack it early, knowing that this is a field that has a bunch of drivers that you may not have a ton of seat time around, or maybe is a more methodical approach going to be the game?
I think as the race goes on, we'll learn new things about the car and just about the track in general. You know, in the Coke race, it wore in a certain way. Some lines went away at a certain point. Some lines came back in. And I think we'll see that again here with this next gen car, maybe a bit different because of the cornering speeds. But I think it'll be good to play the race just by ear, you know, not attack it too hard in the beginning, but just kind of try and keep our position, maybe move up a little bit. But main thing is to just learn the car for the latter half of the race.
Looks like you got a good starting spot for this one. We'll let you dip out of here. Best of luck.
Thank you, Evan. Appreciate you guys.
He was top 5 in practice, guys, and qualifies inside of the top 10. He looks to go back-to-back following his summer bowl this year at Major. That's Salas.
One more driver that we get the chance to chat with, and one that the streaming community on Twitch will know very well. So how about we bring in the most notable streamer from our side, Blake McCandless, with Briar LaPrade in the 35.
Well, Briar, good to have you out here, of course. Briar, what's it like driving these next-gen cars? I know we've talked to a lot of these drivers about the differences in the feel of the car. What do you think is going to be your approach tonight to try to get it done?
It's definitely going to be a different approach. It's definitely different from the current-gen cars that we got, that we run today. Actually, just last weekend, one of the greatest NASCAR weekends I could think of. But, yeah, it's definitely going to be a different approach from how I normally drive this place. It's just going to be trying to figure out, well, you got your normal Bristol tactics, just trying to figure out what lane to go with, where your lap cars are and all that. But driving this thing with the different rear end they got on them, it's going to be, I don't know, you got to figure out what line's going to work best for you and see what you can make rotate the best, honestly.
Well, and Briar, I was going to ask you about that. Obviously, competitors, we are in the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series. Last Thursday night, you're driving a truck. I know you're running against a lot of Coke drivers who have that experience. Does anything that you learned from that truck race, whether where you think the grooves are going to come in, whether you think the highline's going to work, anything that you take from that experience that you think you can apply to 150 laps tonight?
Yeah, definitely took note of you in the Road to Pro race, going from, 34th to top 5. And
I felt like it.
Yeah, it was something crazy. I seen that happening, and I was like, wow, I probably should get up there as soon as I can, but our truck wasn't good enough to hang on for too long, and just did what I could. But yeah, definitely the high side, if I can make that work. Oh, they're right in front of me, but yeah, just the high side looks like it works pretty well, and just got to use it when you can and don't burn up your tires.
All right, Brian, well, we'll let you get to it. The only driver so far that's been driving while we've been interviewing them, so we'll wish you the best of luck tonight in that Ledford Billiard Supply Ford.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Briar LaPrade's had plenty of speed in podium races before. We'll see whether or not he can back it up tonight in this Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more coverage from virtual Thunder Valley right after this. Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup Fall Bowl for the eRacing Association live from Bristol Motor Speedway on iRacing. Let's take a closer look at Bristol in the sim, and we'll turn to a driver who competed here in the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series just a few days ago. Blake McCandless, what's it like to get around this half mile?
Well, it is quick, and the one thing we've been hearing from the drivers tonight is that these cars are insanely fast as well. You look at kind of the egg shape that you heard Dale Earnhardt Jr. describe it as a couple days ago. 1 and 2 just slightly different than turns 3 and 4, but you look at that blue line right there. This is a single pit road. What that means is that both under green and under caution, you have to enter in the back stretch and exit on the front stretch, so look for that to be a key for drivers. If they're going to pit under green, they are taking a massive risk in doing so.
This track opened in 1961. It's just over a half mile in length, just over 0.8 of a kilometer, anywhere from 26 to 30 degrees of banking in the corners. Jesse talked about it, the progressive banking, so you get more banking as you go higher up the racetrack. Same with the straightaways, 6 degrees of banking on the bottom, 10 degrees of banking on the top. So there is speed to be found on that high line if you can get there. In tonight's race, we're going for 150 laps. That's just shy of 80 miles, just shy of 130 kilometers. Drivers will have one quick repair available to them, unlimited sets of tires in the pits, a custom fix it up, and Jesse, once again, that $5,000 cash prize pool and the chance to chat with Emmett Smith waiting for the winner at the end.
I'm looking forward to that $5,000 that we're going to be giving away. It is going to be pretty cool, and Emmett Smith is going to be pretty excited to talk to our race winner. So that should be pretty cool, and just a cool experience for our ERA members who are getting the opportunity to do that. But let's not hold it up anymore. We have our national anthem coming up, and it's going to be sung by my very own sister, Emenderlyn Williams. She's going to be singing our national anthem. So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we have had the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
And for the most famous words in motorsports, we turn once again to former WWE superstar Ted DiBiase Jr. with this evening's command.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, sizes, backgrounds, Ted DiBiase Jr. here, former WWE superstar, coming at you tonight, coming in hot. And it is my honor to get this party started tonight. I'm ready to see who's gonna take home the money. So, without further ado, drivers, start your engines!
time to take a look at tonight's starting grid for the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association. No surprise that Parker Retzlaff, one of the fastest drivers on the short tracks in iRacing, lays down the fast time to start P1. Austin Edwards has had a lot of success in the ERA. He's to his outside on the front row. Garrett Conrath, Cody Smith, and Colin Keister complete the top 5. Garrett Maines, we talked to him pre-race, starts 6-7.
It's the big names back here as well, as mentioned, including the COTA winner Vicente Salas alongside with Briar LaPrade. Derek Fulton and Red Tucker get around through your top 10 along with Logan DeClampett and Brandon Eckrich inside of the top 12.
As we continue to take a look at the starting grid, Colin Bowden, one name that I'm looking at that's starting on the inside of row number 8. He should be very competitive. Rocky Boyd, the third as well. Short track ace he is. He specializes in these type of racetracks. As we continue to look on back. Also, how about Jason Maines? Relation to Garrett Maines a little bit further back here in row number 11. He'll be starting on the inside, trying to catch his son up there that's starting in the top 10.
Justin Stallings, Douglas Newbiging back there. This is the mid-20s. We're sitting 23rd and 24th. Ben Harris is a name that you will have seen in Class A competition. Caleb Steimer, also former competitor of Podium Races, as has been Guillaume Hasneau. We've seen those 3 names before. They're back here just in the top 30.
You got Andrew Schrader and Julie DeRicci on row number 16. They'll start this one alongside and ahead of Blake Lothian and Jason Schilling. Then Ethan Fisher and Ryan Derrick put it in lap times about 0.6 of a second off a pole.
Well, and you have to remember Evan and James back here. It is tough. When we look at Alex, Daryl, Richard, all of these drivers, they're going to be pitting on the backstretch. I know with the single pit road, it's a little bit different, but that's something you have to definitely keep in mind here at Bristol when you have that backstretch pit, is it can be a little bit of a disadvantage.
In sim time is the default day for iRacing, May 15, 2021, right around 9:15 p.m. local time. You see the air and track temp on your screen there, 77 degrees Fahrenheit air temp, 80 degrees track temp, wind set to the north at 2 miles an hour, and humidity at 57%. We are set for an exciting night of racing. Jesse, before we go green, what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to the battles that we're going to see on this track. I mean, this is the last great Coliseum, and they call it that for a reason. There is going to be tons of battles between all the drivers. The battles aren't just going to only happen up front. They're going to happen in the middle of the field. They're even going to happen at the back of the field. All these drivers are only separated by just a few tenths of a second, so they're going to be really close, battling it hard, bumping off of each other, taking each other out. There's going to be so much happening. It's going to be so exciting, and there's going to be a lot of energy in this race. And we have 150 laps to figure this one out.
One of the fastest tracks in all of NASCAR is about to get even faster with these next-gen cars as 40 of the best drivers in sim racing take the green flag, and we are underway with the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association.
And they're already falling in line, and he gets loose. He gets loose.
Just like that, race leaders are involved. James, caution flag on lap number 1, and it all fell apart for Austin Edwards.
Wow, I feel so bad for Austin. Austin is part of Team Redlist, such a good driver. He actually races in real life, races late models, has been racing for years, and he was so excited to be part of this race, to be part of this event, and for something like that to happen this early in the race, man, he's probably feeling it right now.
Let's take a look at the replay here, see what happened. And Jesse, I don't know if you saw anything different than what I did, but it just looked like he got loose, maybe got the fence actually, so maybe overdrove the exit of 2 just a bit, and that's what sent him into the fence, and then you see all these cars behind him pile in.
Cold tires, it will happen. iRacing does a really good job of simulating real dynamics of real race cars. So these tires, when they're cold, you have to be really careful because it takes a lap or 2 or 3 to really get them warm so you can have the optimal grip. And sometimes on lap 1, tire pressures are really low. Tires are feeling really cool. And you got to remember, it's a night race. It's only 77 degrees out. It's not 90 degrees in daytime. The surface temperature of the track is really low, so he probably just got loose coming off that corner, trying to feed that throttle, trying to stay in front of all these bulls behind him, and it just got the best of him, and it just sucks to see that for him.
does have a faster pair that he can use early, but obviously not ideal to be using a faster pair as we enter lap number 4 of 150. Now, Jesse, we've talked a little bit about the prize that's on offer tonight for the winner of this Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup Fall Bowl, but there's a lot more going on with the eRacing Association on a weekly basis. So for those who want to get involved, haven't had the chance, missed the sign up here for the Fall Bowl and want to get involved in future ERA events, how can they stay in touch and what can they look forward to as we enter into the fall?
So all the people who are watching this event, you can all be part of the eRacing Association. You can all become members. All you have to go to do is head to www.eragaming.gg. That's www.eragaming.gg. Head there, head to our memberships tab, register to become a member, and then once you're a member, you're pretty much automatically entered into all of our events that we have. So go become a member. You don't really have much to lose at all. You just really have the chance, the opportunity to go compete in the events against some of the best sim racers out there, and you get broadcasted right now. People are watching this event on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, on NASCAR, iRacing, ERA, they're Podium Esports, they're watching it everywhere. So many different fans all over the place, all over this planet watching. This is your opportunity to feel like a real pro. So head to our website, register, become a member, compete in our next event, and maybe you go home with $4,000.
Parker Retzlaff hits the gas pedal. We're back underway at Bristol. The question is whether or not we'll have a cleaner attempt this time than we did the time before, but he settles in line, as does Garrett Conrath, and the battle will be between Garrett Maines, Colin Keister for that third position, Evan.
Well, that's the key, is just get it off clean, right? Edwards wanted to hang with your pole sitter Retzlaff on the initial start that he put him into the fence, and you can see it's important right there. Conrath will clear the 2 of Garrett Maines. He takes over second position, and you're on board with the Keister there. He'll try to do the same thing on the bottom, but that inside line is going to be oh so tricky when the top gets those huge runs off the corner. Watch the speed difference right there with Maines off the corner, and there's really nowhere for Keister to go as a lapped car nearly got in the way.
I think that might have been Austin Edwards, if my eyes didn't deceive me, that had the leaders shaken up for a moment. But Retzlaff, just about lost it on the bottom, and now here comes Garrett Maines to the outside for the race lead. Jesse?
There's so many battles going on right now all over the track, and as you can see, nobody is giving anybody any kind of room or any kind of slack. It is about to be a war for 150 laps. We have 140 left to go. I don't even know if I can get through this whole thing watching what's going on the track, but they're keeping it clean, and that's what I love to see. Clean racing, clean battles all over the track. That's what ERA is about.
Almost their contact. I thought I saw Colin Keister get into the lap machine of Ethan Fisher. It was very close, and they're still door to door as we go on board with Rhett Tucker, who's just trying to find some sort of breathing room between the lap traffic and the drivers he's racing for a position. Garrett Conrath underneath them, but they're going to take it 3 wide in the middle of 3 and 4 to force the issue, clear the lap traffic, and try and go chase after the race leaders. But as we work our way around this racetrack, Blake McCandless, you've had the opportunity to run the next gens and the Gen 6s here. The next gens have a little bit more mechanical grip. How much does that change the way you race the track as opposed to the Gen 6s?
Well, and I'll worry about that in a second. Big wreck here on the front straightaway. 2 cars slammed to the inside wall. The one thing, James, and I'll talk about this accident right here, is that this car, the handling of this race car, and this is feedback that we've heard from drivers in real life as well as drivers on iRacing, is the feel in the wheel of this car. There's just not as much feel. It's a little bit looser of a car. It almost feels like you have a wide steering box in this car as we take a big hit right there. That's the classic Bristol wreck right there, James. Loose off the corner, and with that inside wall, there's really nowhere to go but right into it. And this is happening all over the racetrack in really tight confines.
It was Brian Burleson and Rocky Boyd that came together. Here's an on board with Burleson, and not the first time we've seen this, Jesse, but drivers just too aggressive on the throttle on corner exit, trying to get as much power down onto the concrete as they can, and sometimes you just get on the gas pedal a little bit too much and spin yourself out.
That can happen here at Bristol. I mean, you have so much horsepower in these cars. You really got to feather that throttle. You got to almost think that an egg is right below your foot. So when that egg is below your foot, you're going to roll onto that throttle, and you have to be patient every single lap. I've raced here in Bristol in real life in the NASCAR K&N Series, which is now the ARCA Midwest Series. But when I raced here, I remember that was a big thing. You got to be really easy on that throttle, even though we didn't have as much horsepower in those cars. That's one thing you definitely have to be weary of, because when you're trying to fly around Bristol, you got to be smooth. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And if you're not being smooth, things like that will definitely happen.
How does racing in iRacing in Bristol relate to racing in real life at Bristol? You've got experience with both, so how do they compare? How do they contrast?
Well, I can definitely tell you the wrecks are the same. I was involved in a wreck when I ran at Bristol in 2018, and somebody had gotten to the back of me, basically got me ridiculously loose and turned me right into that inside wall. So I know exactly what that inside wall feels like. But yeah, I mean, here at Bristol, anything can happen, and when it does, you don't really have a lot of room. Luckily, the corners have a lot of banking, so with that, you can save a lot of different, sideways action that you can experience at this track. But once you get onto that straight, it gets pretty flat. Not saying it's crazy flat, but it's a lot more flat than the corner. And that's where you see people get ridiculously loose because of that transition from the banking to the straights. But you'd be surprised if you actually walk the track in Bristol and you walk the straights. The straights actually have quite a bit of banking, but it's still nowhere near the banking that you're seeing in these corners.
So the highest bank corners in all of NASCAR. You had a good shot at Garrett Maines there. He looks pretty relaxed in the race lead. Of course, early on in this race, only 17 laps complete. Now working lap 18 of 150. So a long way to go, but certainly not a bad spot to be. Here's a good look at Logan Clampett, just a little bit further back in P6, but very much calm, cool, collected. I think the drivers with experience here, Jesse, know that we've got a lot of time left to go. We've got a lot of racing left to do. We'll probably have a few more incidents before you really have to start thinking about strategy. So I don't think there'd be any reason for these drivers to be too nervous.
Patience is definitely key. I always tell people, in order to finish first, you must first finish. And that is something you have to pay attention to when you're racing at tracks like Bristol. A lot of people can get antsy. A lot of people can get impatient. They want to make their way up front. I mean, there's 40-something people out here racing. I mean, sometimes if you're sitting at 20th or 30th place, you're feeling like, I got to make the moves right now so I can get up front. But you got to remember, you have 130 more laps in this race. A lot more things are going to happen. People are going to wreck. People are going to spin. People are going to have a really bad tire fall off. So much is going to happen, but things are about to kick off. It's about to get exciting. Green, 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 green.
Green flags back out. Garrett Maines, Parker Retzlaff, Colin Keister down to the bottom immediately. So it's Conrath trying to fight with Rhett Tucker for position on the outside, and then Logan Clampett, who you saw under that yellow, looking for the bottom, looking for the top, looking for, well, anywhere just about, Evan, to find some sort of room to just get in the groove, get in the rhythm, and try and start clicking off some laps here.
It's kind of tricky, right? Because the outside is where all the speed is, but you don't want to get stuck up there either. And you can see that 99 car making the moves as Rhett Tucker's going to go all the way to third. That is 7 spots gained early for the driver of that Ford Mustang. Can't get by Retzlaff, though, because Retzlaff knew what he was doing. He slid up and tried to shut the door, but he can't hold him off. And very quickly, even with the bubble, the top side is going to be the place to be. Tucker all the way to second. He's not the only one up there. Logan Clampett in line as well as Colin Bowden.
They are clear for the first 2 spots, and then you go back to third, and that's where the battle is. And Clampett has made nice use of that high line, Jesse. You look at his Logitech Chevy Camaro takeoff, and he goes off and immediately drops in front of Parker Retzlaff and up into the third position. Nice work for Clampett early on.
Yeah, there's a lot of different lines you can run here at Bristol. You can run high, you can run mid, you can run low. It just depends on what your driving style is. How deep are you driving it into the corner? Some people have different styles than others. Some people like to, be off throttle super early and get on the throttle super early. Some people like to drive it in deep and get on the throttle late. It just depends on what your style is and what you feel comfortable with and what you think is going to take you the distance, because it's all about being able to get that long run in if there is a long run. But if it's just only going to be short runs, maybe you're just worried about getting the fastest laps possible during those short runs.
And making sure that you maximize the amount of use in your tires. But yellow flag is out once again on the racetrack. Looks like an incident maybe a little bit further back in the field, and we'll get your replay momentarily. But not a lot of green flag racing to start here. But I imagine as these drivers get in the rhythm, as we click off a few laps, you're going to see sort of that nervous energy work off. We'll take a look at the replay here, see what exactly happened further back in the field, Jesse, and looks like maybe a little contact here in the corner, maybe a little bit of loose driving on corner exit. Everybody okay for the moment, but they'll come together here just off the fence, and a little bit of check up there out of 4. That's what starts this.
Yeah, and that will happen sometimes. So the interesting thing about Bristol is it makes you feel like you want to get on the throttle super early. So sometimes you'll enter the corner, it'll be off throttle a little bit, you'll get the car set. So once the car lands in the corner, get set, all of a sudden you're feeling like, you know what, it's time to put the throttle down, mash it down, and go. Well, you do that and you want to stay committed, but what happens is if your right front tire has gotten worn out, or maybe you got a little bit too much grip in the rear, or maybe you didn't angle the car properly, all of a sudden the car starts pushing on exit and it wants to drive you straight into that outside wall. When that happens, people will typically lift a little bit. When you lift and other people are next to you, all of a sudden they get scared, they get freaked out, they move around, they hit people take each other out, and then all of a sudden you cause a wreck. That will happen a lot at Bristol.
We almost had drivers come down pit road there. A little bit of fake out action at pit entry from the leaders. So, Blake McCandless, do you have a sense of when we can expect these drivers to pit if we keep getting yellows or if this goes green? Do you have pit strategies sort of in mind that you would want to run if you were racing in this yourself?
Yeah, James, one of the things that I think we'll see is that we need about a 40 or 50 lap run. I know talking to a couple of these drivers before the race, that was the biggest thing they want. They feel like they need to run long enough to justify coming down pit road. And in a race like this, I think that's to be expected when you're getting yellow after yellow. When's that one time that you need to come in and make sure you hit that strategy right so that you have those tires for the end of the race? I think that's what is on a lot of these drivers' minds right now. If we can get a 20 or 30 lap run, when is the right time to pit? And that may be about the $5,000 question that some of these drivers are asking themselves later tonight.
It's a pretty significant question, just by my take here. But we are now working lap 31, so by my chicken scratch math, which admittedly isn't all that great, Jesse, probably 20 more laps before we go down pit road. But while we've got a chance under yellow, tell us a little bit about some of the partners that have helped make this event possible. Notable Live are the ones responsible for helping get the meetup with Emmett Smith off the ground. So for those who aren't familiar with Notable Live, what do they do? How can you get involved with them, and why should you sign up for their product?
Notable Live, they've been pretty amazing, and I've been partnered with them, for over a year now. And, Notable Live, with what they do, they pretty much offer these opportunities to basically do these live stream type events, conference call type events where people are on camera, on video with some of their favorite stars. And a lot of the folks that you'll see on Notable Live are athletes. A lot of them are football players, and then they can really come from any sport. But, Notable Live, what they're doing, they're pairing these athletes, your favorite stars you used to watch on TV, or people you're still watching on TV right now, they're pairing them up with people who can jump on live with them and watch games, do all these different things, do different events with their favorite athletes or whatever stars are on there that they're in their conference room with, and have a good time. And it's just a pretty cool system. I love it. Everyone go to www.notablelive and you can check it out.
I mean, you get the chance to chat with somebody like Emmett Smith, and that's just one of the people on Notable Live. I can only imagine how many other great folks you'll have the opportunity to chat with if you join their platform. But for now, we're getting ready for the restart, which will come on lap 34 of 150. Main's still your control car on that inside lane, and we've seen the last few restarts, whether or not we've seen the last few restarts that the leader and usually about the first 2-3 cars have been able to jump away, get to the inside, and get single file. The battles take place usually around P3. We'll see whether that is the case this time as we go back to green flag racing. Mains is clear, Clampett is clear, so it's Rhett Tucker and Colin Bowden to fight for position. Bowden, though, going to slide up in front of Tucker, so we'll move that first side-by-side battle back to Wyatt Tinsley and Colin Keister up.
It's one of the best restarts we've seen for the leader and one of the worst we've seen out of Rhett Tucker. So he's going to immediately go back to the outside and get some spots back. Won't matter. Yellow flag behind your leaders. And I think about saw a car up and on its lid. Stallings, one of the drivers involved on the front stretch.
Another yellow flag early on in this Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association. In trouble, I think, might had been Richard Woodruff, who was the first one to go around. This all happens in turn 3. Yep, there's Woodruff in his red and white machine. And then right there, as Evan said, one car on its lid and a few more piling in at the very end of this. I believe that was Dustin Stallings who ended up upside down in the corner. And we've seen restarts both in real life and here in the sim, Jesse. I don't think it matters. I think you get to Bristol, you're going to have a few crazy ones. And that one, I think, par for the course in that sense.
The party definitely is in these restarts. During these restarts, there's so much chaos because everyone is super close to each other. Everyone is still racing side by side. It takes a few laps for people to spread out a little bit, but here at Bristol, you don't really spread out that much. You're always going to be battling someone. It's just that during the restarts and starts, you are side by side and all 40 drivers are right there next to each other. So things are going to happen. If anyone checks up for whatever reason, everyone behind you are going to be coming with a full steam ahead, and sometimes they end up taking you out. It's just all part of Bristol. That's why it is the last great Coliseum.
It's another chance for these drivers to get reset. It's almost a mind trick there, Blake, just because as a driver, you're ready to go for the restart. You're ready to get back to green flag racing. You get a lap in, and then you get the yellow flag, and you have to come back down all over again and get yourself geared up all again. When you get restarts like this in succession 3, 4, 5 times, is that mentally tough on a driver? Is that maybe more difficult in some cases than trying to knock out a 30, a 40, a 50 lap green flag run?
Absolutely, James. I liken it to if you have a rain delay, when drivers talk about getting out of their race cars and they have that break, that it's tough to get back in that mindset. Everything you do to prepare, your pregame meal, whatever ritual you go through, you're building yourself up mentally to get ready to race. And when you have these pauses, it just plays with your rhythm. It gets you off mentally. And you also have to recognize that this is the most important part of the race. We've seen it evolve in NASCAR for years. Restarts are everything now. It's where you can get all these positions, and particularly when you're having these back-to-back yellows in succession, where you line up plays a big part of it as well. So having to think about all that, what line you want to get to, where your car's working well, are we going to get another caution? Do I need to race this guy harder because I think we're about to get a yellow? All those things come into play. And again, you mentioned it, James, we have so much time under these cautions to think about this. A driver can talk themselves out of their own head in a heartbeat, and we have plenty of it right now at Bristol with these guys, especially up front, trying to jockey for track position.
You can almost overthink your restarts and maybe do too much thinking. There's a point where you just need to sort of turn the brain off and go. Jesse, is it like that in real life, or is it pretty similar, I would assume?
Yeah, restarts, I mean, they have their goods and bads. You know, sometimes, especially after a long run, you'll want that caution because you want to kind of reset. You want to rethink about what just happened. You want to play through it in your mind. If you weren't having a good run, it's your time to, reset your head and be like, okay, it's time to, throw away whatever just happened. Let's reset. Let's keep moving forward. Let's get better. So sometimes restarts are good, and it allows you to catch a breath and grab a quick drink of water or something like that. I mean, it's always super helpful. And even on the sim, you can sweat a little bit.
Keep hydrated, whether or not it's real racing or racing in iRacing, as Garrett Maines takes off and leads us back to green flag racing. Clampett working the outside ahead of Bowden, and then Brent Tucker and Colin Keister fighting for position, and Parker Retzlaff right there too. But the first 3 cars clear, and that first battle of it is for P4.
And it is again that 99 Machida Tucker working the outside, trying to clear the 45. Yellow flag behind your leaders into the outside wall in 1 and 2. I think it's Cody Erdman, who had been running inside of the top 20. And again, all of the aggressiveness on the restart continues to cause issues midfield. You can see Erdman there on the inside trying to get turned around.
I do believe you're right about that. Initial word that we have is that it was contact with Jeremy Little. Take a look at the replay and see just what happened between Erdman and Little. And yep, that's pretty clear, Jesse. Yeah, that's definitely contact coming out of 4.
Yep, that is pretty clear right there. And it'll happen sometimes. It just depends, where was his spotter? Does he have a human spotter, or does he have an iRacing spotter? Usually the iRacing spotter is pretty spot on, no pun intended. But if he has a human spotter, who knows? Maybe he didn't tell him that he was right there on the outside. He wasn't clear. He moved up, and that's what caused the wreck.
Tough for human spotters too, because things just happen that fast. Sometimes your human spotters aren't fast enough to hit it. But As it stands, we're going to take a quick commercial break and be back with more coverage of the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association live from iRacing's virtual Bristol Motor Speedway.
Do you struggle finding someone to race with, someone to compete with, or flat out someone just to give the gap sauce? Well, you should check out the Gapham app.
Gapham is the only app that will allow you to race people locally, share videos, and attend events.
And after you race, you can actually take your racing video and post it in the Gapham postum section so the whole world can see. And even if you're not a racer, you can always head to our Gapham app crew mode section where you and some friends can continue to meet up, go to car meets, go to car events, car shows, anything that has nothing to do with going to the racetrack.
Gapham is a one-stop shop for the car world.
Looks like I just got a match on the Gapham app. Time to serve someone some Gapham beans.
Ready, set, Gapham.
Welcome back to the eRacing Association Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway on iRacing. Getting ready for a green flag restart that on lap 48 of 150. And we will get to more racing, see if we can get a longer green flag running than we've had the chance to in these opening 50 laps. Been short burst that we've had up to this point, but pace car will come on. Garrett Maines will take off, and Jesse Woodsy will see whether or not they're door-to-door once we hit turn 2.
We'll see. I know they're going to be battling. Everyone's antsy. We'll see what happens going through turn 1 and 2. They're coming in side by side, but the front group is lined up, nose to tail, and we'll see if the folks behind them have a little bit of patience, and so far, so good.
1, 2, 3, 4, and you have to go back to Parker Retzlaff and Rhett Tucker to find the first wheel-to-wheel battle on the racetrack, but yellow flag is out again. I believe there was more trouble in the back of the field. We'll try and get you a replay momentarily, but trouble once again to break this up. And I think this was Julian Ricci and maybe, just maybe, Caleb Steimer. I think those two, the first ones that I can tell that have some damage out of this. And we'll get a good look here at what happened in the lap preceding this incident. You see the green and yellow of Steimer right there on the right side of your screen, and Ricci next to him, maybe a little bit up front that they were reacting to, and a bit of a stack up there out of 4. I think that might be what happened, but yes, actually 2 separate incidents. So Ricci, Steimer, and then trouble with Brian Burleson and Paul Brigolich. So 4 drivers involved in this incident, Jesse.
In order to finish first, you must first finish. You gotta have a little bit more patience than that. We still got almost 100 laps left in this race. You just gotta be patient. You will work your way up. It just naturally happens. Just stay your course, run your lane, run your line. Don't make any aggressive moves. I promise you will move your way up the field. It's just going to happen. But the thing is, if you start making aggressive moves, you start not looking before you turn down, well, things like that happen. You take yourself out, you take others out, and eventually you're going to be stuck in the pits fixing your race car.
I haven't seen any of these drivers try and come down pit road yet, so I think we are still waiting for our first pit stops of the evening. This is right at that 50-lap mark that Blake McCandless said we might see drivers come down pit road. I wonder, however, if with the extra caution flags, these drivers may stay out a little bit longer just because they're getting a little bit better tire life since we're not running as many green flag laps. Now, Jesse, ERA getting ready to celebrate its first anniversary coming up here. $25,000 that you've already given away and given back to the sim racing community. What's coming up in year 2 of the eRacing Association?
A lot of great things coming up in year 2 for the eRacing Association. We're planning on putting on more events. We have our bi-monthly events going on where we have basically 2 exhibition style iRacing events happening each a month where our ERA members can compete in these. And eventually what we want to start doing is having some cool giveaways for those races. For those events, they're not the big money ones. The big money ones are these Omega Cup events that you see. But for the other ones, yeah, we want to start doing some giveaways where it's apparel or sim racing gear or maybe even full-on sim racing cockpits. So if you want to be an ERA member, just head to eragaming.gg, sign up, start competing in our events. You'll love it. It's a good time. Everyone's pretty cool. It's just a place to be. I don't know if there's a better league to be in on iRacing.
And that's an important point, too, I think, that yes, the Omega Cup events are the big events at the eRacing Association, but they're not the only events at the eRacing Association, because you've got stuff going on just about every week.
Yeah, we're all over the place, and we're slowly increasing it more. And for those who are looking to to race even more in our league and be part of all the other events that we have, sign up for our newsletter, because we're going to be putting out some great information through there. We'll be putting out information also on our social media sites. So make sure you're following eRacing Association on Instagram, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook. We're all over the place. In fact, you know what? That reminds me, we probably need to start a TikTok.
I would say that's probably not a bad idea, as race control has indicated that we are going to a single file restart here. So everybody lined up on the fence, almost Winston Cup style back in the old days, as Garrett Maines will take off. And we are back underway with the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl, and everybody now in a line. So Evan, this could give us the chance to stretch this field out, see if we can get a few more drivers up towards the front, see who can move, see who can shake, see who can climb their way towards the front.
Yeah, it's certainly going to help drivers who prefer, to be on the outside to make some moves, right? You're not kind of locked in based on the lane you were for the restart. So you have the option now. Do I want to go high? Do I want to go low? And you can see those top 5 or so. Pretty calm at the moment, but it seems like every restart, it's Rhett Tucker, the instigator. He is looking to get underneath Colin Keister in a battle for 4th. Hasn't been able to do so yet. Here's his onboard perspective. Keister doing a good job of holding him off. But up front, don't look now. Logan Clampett now with an opportunity to run some green flag laps is really working hard. Race leader Garrett Maines.
Was about to say, Jesse, that Clamp has been all over the rear bumper of Maine since we got the green flag a few laps ago on this most recent run. And now I think this might be the first proper challenge we've had for the race lead since Maine's made the pass early on before that rash of yellows.
Logan is a very skilled iRacer. He is really good on the wheel. And you can see that focus in his eyes. That's why I love these webcams, because we can see what these iRacers, these sim racers are going through. Like, what's going on? Where are they looking at? How are they using that wheel? Are they fighting that wheel? Are they getting loose? All these different things that happen in a real life race car are being simulated here on iRacing. And it's so cool that we can put this event on with the eRacing Association and be able to watch this. So the viewers at home can really see that this is a race. This is a legitimate race. It's not a video game. It's a legitimate race.
Trouble once again hearing that Derek Fulton and Matthew Lee were the ones who got together. This, I believe, over in turns 1 and 2. Let's see if we can get a replay for you momentarily. But small spin there, not too much damage that we're hearing. Get a good look at it, though. See what happened properly here. But a little bit of a stop and go instance, I think, Jesse, as these drivers came together on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's let's see exactly what happened. Yeah.
The trouble, technical difficulties, but more importantly, Blake McCandless, you've got action near you for the first time as these drivers come down pit road for service.
That is the case, and of course you're going to see that all of these drivers, Garrett Maines, going to have to take that long drive around. Again, we talked about single pit road here at Bristol, so they're going to have to take that long drive around. You see Logan Clampett trying to keep pace with them, using all the road that they can on the bottom. And I would imagine, James, that this is going to be the last time that these drivers are going to pit for tires, because with all the cautions we've had, they're not going to want to lose this track position. So very important here. Different for these next-gen cars. Single lug nuts, probably be a little bit quicker here. That is one of the big changes you're going to see in NASCAR this season, or next season rather. And off of pit road, let's see. It looks like Garrett Maines is going to have it, even though he just came to a dead stop at the end of pit road. Interesting. We'll have to follow up on that.
Intriguing there that he came to a stop. Jesse, if you're pulling a move like that, I would guess that the biggest reason you do that is if you wanted a chance to potentially start on the outside instead of the inside. As we'll take a look here from Garrett Maines' onboard, see what happened there. But that's at least initially the only thing I can think of, and the only reason as to why you want to stop it and maybe not win the battle on pit road.
You know what? Maybe that, or maybe he was speeding on pit road. So with the way the cameras are, the lasers and all that stuff for figuring out who's speeding and who's not and what sections you're speeding in, maybe he was trying to game that. Maybe he felt like, hey, if I just, speed up like crazy and all of a sudden, I don't know. We'll see. We should ask him.
It's an intriguing one. I wonder, as you get a good look here at the incident with Derek Fulton and company a little bit further back in the field. That's what brought us out under the yellow. So there's the technical difficulties cleaned up, but everybody now single file with pit stops done. Interesting point that Blake made, I thought, Jesse, that this could be the only time that drivers come down pit road for tires just in case. You figure the restart cycles will wear these tires a little bit, but you're looking at probably somewhere in the ballpark of 90 laps on this set of tires if you go the rest of the way, at least in the scheduled distance. I think that's going to be all right for these drivers as we get set to go back green flag racing.
I think what they're banking on is, there's a lot of cautions, right? And we're still going to have more throughout the race. Even though we're going single file start, we'll still have some more cautions. So what they're banking on is that even though there's like maybe 85 or so laps left in the race, they're thinking, 20 or so of those, 20, 25 of those laps are going to be caution laps. So they're not going to be wearing their tires during that. So maybe they're just banking on that, or they're just following the leader.
Good look at Matthew Lee there, who's in 22nd at the moment. We also have a lot of drivers who are lined up to take wave rounds once we get the chance to get everybody set for green flag racing. So going to be a little bit of shuffling of the deck here. Race control has extended the caution by a few laps just to make sure that we have everyone scored and sorted properly. So as race control gets everyone lined up, Jesse, biggest announcement of the summer, you're going racing full time next year with Emmitt Smith. There's so much that we could talk about there, but in broad strokes, just the big vision that you have set to go.
Yeah, so next year, 2022, will be pretty exciting. So me and Emmitt Smith, all-time leading rusher in professional football, we are partnering up and starting a race team in the Xfinity Series. And we're starting off with a single car team with hopes and goals to eventually expand it out to a multi-car team. Our end goal is to eventually have a cup team. Obviously, that doesn't happen in one day. It doesn't happen in 1 month. It doesn't happen in 1 year. We have a lot of work behind us to do to get to our end goals, but we are workers. We're grinders, and that's what we do. We've gotten the places we've gotten to in life by grinding. Between me going to the Naval Academy, playing football there, becoming an officer in the Navy, finding my way into NASCAR, between what he's done in the NFL and also in the business world, we're just grinders. So we're putting it all together, and yeah, we're going to start this race team for 2022. So I'm pretty excited about it.
I think the biggest thing is you get a look here at the incident on the back straightaway, but the biggest piece of that announcement is that it continues the trend of major names that we've seen coming to the sport in the last 24 months between Michael Jordan, who's done a few things with the basketball, and Pitbull, who's been immensely successful in the music industry. Now we have someone from football coming into NASCAR, and maybe it's just me, Jesse. I'd love to hear your take on it, but I feel like it says so much about the strength of the sport that we're seeing big names coming in want to be involved with racing in ways that they haven't had the chance to or haven't necessarily jumped at before.
I really believe that in NASCAR, I mean, it's a blank canvas. You can jump in and really create something that's long lasting, that can bring lasting change. You have a lot of different assets with a race team that you can utilize to really make a difference in many different communities. Me and Emmett Smith, with where we've been in our lives, where we've come from, we believe that we have the platform that can do good for many, whether it's with diversity initiatives or different veteran initiatives or any kind of initiatives that involve helping kids out, because our youth, that's our future. The more good we can do for them, the better our world will be in the future. We know that this country has gone through a lot over the last couple of years, and really over the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. We want to do what we can to make sure that we're creating some type of lasting change that continues to create opportunity for all, no matter what you look like, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your race is, no matter what your religion is. We want to create opportunity for all, and that's what we're focused on with this race team.
The general concept of crawling before you walk, which of course is all going to start somewhere. So I think I can speak for all of us here at Podium when say we're all excited to see what you accomplish on track in 2022. As you get a look at Rocky Boy coming down pit road, he's been involved in a few incidents over the course of the evening. So just trying to get the damage fixed up on his Chevy Camaro and get that car back out on track to try and pick up a few more spots as we work towards the second half of this race. Just about at the halfway point, we're 4 laps removed at least from the scheduled distance. But we do have green, white checkers potentially available if we need them. So we'll see how that pans out at the end of the race. But for now, we'll keep our eyes peeled and see whether or not we get any more wild restarts, any more crazy moves, any more quick yellow flags, everything to watch for here as we enter the middle portion of this Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup Fall Bowl from iRacing's virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Evan Pasoko, haven't had the chance to actually chat with you too much here throughout the flurry of yellows, but just in these opening 70 laps, what have you seen? What have you noticed? Any sort of patterns that you picked up on as we get a good look at Briar LaPrade on board?
Well, just looks like a lot of the points of confusion are coming from those mixed 2-3 wide bags mid-pack, and maybe that comes from the fact that drivers can't really decide on what lane is going to be the go-to one in this race. As the pace car heads off and in, we head to the EPM restart zone and take a restart with 77 laps to go.
Keister all clear. Everybody in that top 5 all set to go. This time it's Austin Edwards and Garrett Conrath. How about Austin Edwards, though, Jesse? He was dead in the water there on that first lap. Tons of damage, got into the fence, and now he's raced his way all the way back into the top 10 before we even hit halfway.
He's back in the top 10, has worked his way up there, and that's pretty awesome to see a Team Redless driver make his way back up there. And Austin Edwards, oh man, his work ethic is absolutely amazing. I've been watching him in late models. He's been doing a great job there, racing in California, racing different places. And the kid just comes from a really, really solid family, good background, just a very hard-working kid. So to see him out here racing and trying to compete for the $4,000 first place prize, man, if he ended up winning it, that would be absolutely amazing.
Good look here at some of the moves he's made to the outside of the course of this race. Currently battling Garrett Conrath for position and trying to hang on to P7 ahead of Conrath and his Ford Mustang. Douglas Newbigging is the next car up the racetrack for Edwards if he can break free of Conrath and further his charge towards the front. Meanwhile, at the very front, everybody in a train between Keister, Bowden, Retzlaff, and Briar LaPrade, as Vicente Salas is the first one trying to give chase and trying to go catch up with his teammates up the racetrack who are first and second at this time. As there goes LaPrade to the inside, big move there. Evan Pasoko, and maybe, just maybe, LaPrade starting to get a little antsy, trying to make a move of his own for the race lead.
And doing his very best, right? And you talk about some of these names. I mean, they are really the best of the youth movement on the service. You're talking about a Parker Retzlaff. You look at back into the history books, a multi-time winner in the eNASCAR Ignite Series. You guys were talking about Austin Edwards, finished third in that campaign back in 2018. Right, those were short track focus series targeting age 13 to 16-year-old drivers. So these are guys that have a lot of seat time in the sim despite the relatively young age. And you can even toss a Briar LaPrade in that, right? One of the biggest up-and-comers looking to the inside of Retzlaff. took him a couple of tries, and to be honest here, I don't think Retzlaff is in any hurry to block that 35 off on the inside. And Parker seems pretty content with just holding the outside and try to make the 35 do the dirty work. And I think realizing that, Briar's going to try something different here, but Parker's got to decide, does he want to make a move on Bowden? Yes, he will. He'll go to the inside and try for second, and that's going to give away the spot he had for third, and instead of gaining, he may lose in this.
Here's a good shot of Vicente Salas, who's just behind this group. You can see Laprade and Retzlaff and Ballard and Keister just in the front. Those 4 cars up ahead in his frame. And you see the look on his face, Jesse. Maybe I'm crazy, but to me, that screams pure concentration. Just trying to get every last ounce out of this car and keep pace with the drivers up front.
I love the concentration. I mean, he is fully focused. He knows where he's going. He knows what he's doing. All you can see is just his eyeballs moving. That's it. His eyes are moving. His eyes are looking at where he's going. When you're driving a race car, you can't just look, 5-10 feet ahead of you. You have to look at the other end of the corner. You have to see what the other drivers are doing. You have to be ready to dodge wrecks. You have to be ready to, run the right line. And you're not going to run the right line if you're not seeing the right line. So he's using his eyes, putting his eyes in the right place. Something that we did in football. Our coach always harped on us. Get your eyes in place. If you don't, you're going to get beat. And that's what happens on a racetrack.
I think it's the same principle just about in any sport, that where the eyes go, the body, or in this case, the car, will follow, right? If you're looking at some particular point on the racetrack, then you're probably going to end up driving the car there. And that sounds a little bit obvious, but when you're trying to find the right line and when mere hundredths of a second are the difference, you put your eyes in the wrong spot, you look a little bit higher or lower than you need to, you end up missing your corner, missing the line you want to run, Jesse, and then immediately that's a tenth, that's 2 tenths. You add that up, you start sliding back for the race leader.
It's very true. And for those who don't believe it, go try it. Just jump on the simulator and look maybe 15 feet ahead of the car, ahead of the nose of the car. Drive like that, and then now drive by looking all the way at the end of the corner when you're going into the corner and see what happens. And we got another caution.
Trouble, I believe, this time for Sid Waters in the 81 machine, who got pinged up in the fence, and that was right near the race leaders, I think. We'll take a look at the replay, see what happened, but trouble for Waters and company around him, and we'll see just who got involved in this, and whether or not Waters was the only one to get swept up in this, or whether or not there were a few more casualties as part of his wreck, which from our accounts happened over in turn 1.
Yeah, I think the replay is going to show us it was a battle for 9th position. Waters had it, and it's a very bold move right there. Garrett Maines goes to the middle pike. Of course, we saw that these guys were just on pit road, right, a little bit ago, and they had not made up much ground at all, and that was a very gutsy move that did not pay out for Garrett Maines, and it basically destroyed both he and Logan Clampett's cars, who were running in 10th and 11th at the time. They will be forced down to pit road to burn their quick repairs.
And for the drivers coming down pit road and their pit stops, let's go back to Blake McCann.
Well, James, again, we see a lot of the same drivers that we just visited on pit road. We were chronicling or about to chronicle their move or lack thereof of coming up through the field. They found it very difficult to make up that ground, especially once they started to get into lap traffic, which is coming pretty quickly here, James. I've been looking at the amount of fast repairs we have left, and there's really not a lot. You can imagine basically the back half of the field right now, no fast repairs left, so drivers are out there damaged. They've been off the pace, they've been hit, whatever can happen to them. They're still out here trying to fight for all the money that's on the line. So lap traffic definitely going to play a factor. And as you can see with that accident with Logan Clampett and Garrett Maines, it came into play. But change off of pit road. Colin Bowden overtakes his Space Station Gaming teammate. He'll lead the charge off the pit lane.
Colin Keister, I believe, had to back up in his stall. I think he overshot the box just a hair, and that allowed Bowden to take over the race lead in his Ford Mustang, or at least the virtual race lead, as it were. Bowden, the first of the drivers that came off of pit road. Jesse, over the course of this evening, we had the chance to chat a little bit about ERA and a little bit about some of the partners. A few more that we haven't had the chance to mention yet, but definitely want to give a shout out to. How about the Red List and the GAPM app? Two very, very good bits and pieces that you want to be involved with if you're a drag racer.
Yeah, that's for sure. So with Gap'em, very interesting app where people can basically download the app and use it as a way to connect with other people at the racetrack. Whether you're going to drag strips on the West Coast, East Coast, South, wherever it is, you can connect with people and you can match with them. Almost think about, in a way, like kind of like Tinder in a way, where you can match with someone. You can swipe left, swipe right. And when I say match, it's not like a love interest match. It's a match to race them. You match up with another driver and you swipe left or right if you want to race them or if you don't. And if you do, you can stay in contact with them, figure out a good time and date, and then end up racing them at a track at a particular event. Even if you're an event host and you put on drag racing events or you put on even car meets and stuff like that, there's a way for people who are into car meets to match with people on the app, connect, and meet new car friends. You can do all that stuff on the Gap'em app. So just go onto your Apple or if you're on the Android and go to your app store and download the app Gap'em.
Fun idea there as you get a good shot of Garrett Maines, who, yes, has used his fast repair, so any damage that he takes now, he'll have to repair the old-fashioned way in iRacing and come down pit road. But all that being said, still in the top 6, Evan Pasoko, still not a bad run for him.
It's kind of tricky how he ended up with this, right? He was just involved in the accident, but because he was going for a quick repair, his total pit road time was not that long, right? Other drivers who had already burned a quick repair and were involved in that incident or came down for service had to be in the box for much longer. So that's why, despite just being in the incident that caused yellow, Garrett Maines is going to restart in P6, still well within contention of racing for the win, coming to 53 to go.
Pace car is off. Wyatt Tinsley is your race leader. He stayed out. He's on almost 30-lap old tires. And Jesse Awuji, the question is whether or not he can hold off all these drivers on fresh rubber for the race lead.
This is going to be exciting. It's going to be interesting. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it because old tires versus new tires, old tires hardly ever win. But he's trying to hold it. We'll see. They're 3 wide right now. 3 wide. How does it work in Bristol? Well, it looks like it worked that time. We'll see if it continues to work. They're still battling. Oh, old tires, old tires. It's just not going to work out for them. We'll see. We'll see where this goes.
Casual 3 wide for the race lead at Bristol Motor Speedway in the Equity Prime Mortgage Jamaica Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association. No big deal. Nothing wild there. How about this shot here? Tinsley is going to go sideways on the racetrack and lose it in the corner. And the yellow flag is out at Bristol once again. I think there was contact with someone. I couldn't tell immediately who it was, but I saw Tinsley make contact there, and I think maybe Maines. We'll get a look at the replay, see what happened, but somebody definitely got into Tinsley's Chevy Camaro and sent him around.
That looked like a lapper.
With Ethan Fisher, I think you're right, Jesse. Fisher was a lapped car that had had an incident the lap prior that did not actually trigger a caution flag. That was between Fisher and Cofield, and you'll see as these cars come through and onto the scene right there, it's that slow car on the bottom. I'm not sure if there was actual contact, but I think when that car started to turn around, it just spooked the race leaders coming by. And look at the one car, the 39, flipping through the air.
Wow.
Trying to avoid an accident by steering away from that slow car. And in turn, that's actually what leads to that big incident.
That was a big, big flip.
Oh my God.
Jason Maines, father of Garrett. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of times where we've seen cars flip like that on tracks this banked. And I think of Joey Logano at Dover. I think it was 09. And then Carl Long at Rockingham in 04. And that's about the only other one I can compare. But there was contact between Maines and Ryan Derrick, and that's what happened. We'll get another shot of this and see just how heavy it was, Jesse. But this looked wild just out of the corner of my eyes.
Yeah, let's see how this one goes right here. And he starts going towards the inside wall. Makes that contact, and here we go. Wow, Matrix style.
Usually not a good thing when you can read the Food City logo outright from the windshield. Last I checked, usually means the car's not facing the right way. But thankfully, this is iRacing. So, Jason, either we'll get the chance to use the fast repair, or it's going to have to sit on pit road for a little bit. But I suspect, given that he's already used his fast repair, that he may be sitting on pit road for a while. That cleaned up. Also of note, and Blake McCandless, I don't know if you've got more on this, but of the 40 drivers that started this race, I believe we have somewhere in the ballpark of about 22, 23 left on the racetrack.
You would be wrong, James. Through these last couple of cautions, I'm counting right now, we have 7 fast repairs left. Only 7. Colin Bowden, Parker Retzlaff, Colin Keister, Vicente Salas, Douglas Newbinging. How about him running up in the top 8? 3,500 iRating, really holding his own. Rhett Tucker has one as well. And that is it when we talk about fast repairs. So not a lot going on. There's really not that mulligan that you kind of have with these fast repairs to lean on in these last 50 laps. It's full send to the end here.
Yeah, fast repair is definitely going to be a lot shorter than the amount of cars that are still on track. I'll see if I can actually get a proper count now. But I think it's somewhere, 23, 24 cars that are at least still in this race. Everybody else pulled behind the wall and out as cars are lined up single file and lights are off. The pace car. So Jesse Wuji, we're going to go back green flag racing in this Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association momentarily.
46 laps to go, so it's about to get even more exciting. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I think for some of those moves that were made a little bit earlier that caused that wreck, I think that driver might not be around anymore.
Colin Bowden getting ready to go. He waited late into the Equity Prime Mortgage restart box and backed up Parker Retzlaff just a bit. So a little bit of a gap he's got to Retzlaff and clear of his Toyota Camry as they go off into 2. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, how about Maines peeking to the inside of Colin Keister, trying to make something happen as they get back wound up to full speed at Bristol. Evan.
It means in traffic with Clampett. It seems like those two have just been together all night. Was a battle for, the race lead in towards the front of the field a little bit earlier, and now they're trying to deal with traffic together. But, when they made that pit stop, they had a tire advantage. It didn't do much. Everybody in this battle up front equal on the tires. So Garrett Means is going to have to find this speed on his own merit, and you can see he really wants to get to the outside of Colin Keister. The bottom is there. Two-car wants nothing to do with it right now.
And of note, look at Keister, who's shading Maines' line just enough to where Maines can't draw even with Keister's Ford Mustang. I think that's the key in all of this, that Keister's come off the bottom. I think normally we'd see Keister and that black and yellow machine down towards the edge of the concrete. So we get a good look at Brian LaPrade, who rides in the 3rd spot. Now that Maines is backed off, you see everybody drop to the bottom. So there's the strategy, I think, which is pretty obvious there from Keister, Jesse, that if Maines is going to go to the top, Keister's going to go just high enough to make sure he can't draw a quarter panel alongside and get a run.
Yeah, those are the games you play with the drivers on the track. You watch what line they're doing, and sometimes you might not be completely faster than them, but there's little games you can play to keep them from getting good runs, so you can keep them at your pace and keep them at bay. These are all the different kind of things you can do at a track like Bristol.
So much heavy work amongst the race leaders, just trying to eke out every 10th, every 100th of a second, because it makes a huge difference, especially when you're traveling as quickly as you are in these next-gen cars. Last time by, leaders with a 14.2. That's a full second faster than the pace that we find normally in the Gen 6 cars, as you get a good look off the rear deck lid of Brian LaPrade and see Colin Keister trying to charge to the inside. But for the moment, not much doing, Evan, as the leaders are still together and still bunched up, but still strung out single file.
Well, yeah, and the one thing I learned early in this race, right, in the pre-race show, talking with Vicente Salas about what he was expecting in this race as we go on board with the Pratt in 3rd, is that he said he wanted to learn a little bit right over the course of the race. These drivers haven't had lots of long green flag runs to be able to figure out what to do. 10 laps in, 20 laps in, 30 laps in, as Clampett looks to the inside of the two Maines behind. They have had that amount of laps on the tires, but not time to work. So you have a very small window here inside of 35 laps to go to figure out what's going to happen over the course of a run. Also, a thing that's quintessential Bristol is lapped traffic, and some of the drivers up front, Bowden, fighting with the red side for the race lead, will have to deal with that. They're only about a half a straightaway behind some of the cars, a couple of laps down still in this race, so that could be crucial as well.
There is about a straightaway, at least the line, it was about a straightaway to Danny Ferrer, who I believe is the first lap car ahead of your race leaders. But Evan's right, Jesse. Once you get up to the lap traffic and start working through it on a green flag run, It is everywhere here at Bristol. It's not like a lot of other racetracks where you might hit a pack of lap traffic and then you get to breathe for a bit. It seems like everywhere you turn on this racetrack in a decently long green flag run, you're going to find lap cars somewhere, and it's your job to find a way to pass them.
Yep, and that's the job of the leaders right there. When you see lap traffic, you can't complain. You can't tell them to move out of your way. You as a leader, you as the faster driver, the faster car, you have to find a way around that lap traffic. Now, it's a job of the lap traffic to maintain the line that they had always been running. You know, lap traffic doesn't get caught up by the leaders just within a millisecond. Like, it takes time. You see them coming, you see what line they're running. So lap traffic runs their line, and then the leaders got to find a way around them, and then that's it. You can't complain. You just got to make it happen.
You just have to make moves. Speaking of people who have made some significant moves, Logan Clampett just in the back of the shot. You see the teal there right on the edge of your screen. He's made a nice charge back to the thick of this, and Vicente Salas is there as well. And what was maybe a 4 or 5 car pack, now a 6 or 7. And look at this. Look at the shot of Logan Clampett here on the onboard, Jesse. I think that's as intense a facial expression as we've seen off of the California native's face all night long.
And he's showing off those arms too. He's been working out a little bit, and I don't know if it's that steering wheel that's been working him out or if he's been in the gym. But yeah, he is intense right now. He is focused. He has his eyes on that prize.
We'll see how it pans out here in the last 25 laps, but we're going to take one quick commercial break to be able to get you to the end of the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association. We'll be back from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway right after this. Welcome back to coverage of the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association, where they were 3 wide for the race lead. Blake McCandless and Vicente Salas now looking to the bottom of Colin Bowden to take it over late in the going.
And he's gotten it done. And James, I was talking with a couple of these drivers, one in particular, Wyatt Tinsley, as we see lap traffic get in the way, Bowden into the fence. Do you perform a bump and run with this much money on the line when the difference between first and second is so great? Wyatt Tinsley was quite poignant with me. He said he would absolutely do it. You can't answer it for everybody, but I think for Vicente Salas, he didn't need to. He is driven away. He's already half a second ahead of Briar LaPratt as they come to about 14 to go.
How about Salas here as they're getting really hot and heavy in the back, and I think we're going to have another yellow flag. Indeed we will. I saw cars spinning just off the edge of my screen. We'll take a look at the replay, and I was about to say, Jesse, that it might not, or rather some sort of bump and run might not matter because of the gap that Salas had been able to build, but obviously this yellow flag is going to pull it back down. So let's see who got involved in this incident and figure out what happened. I think this was just behind the race leaders, but I think some of the top 5 were caught up in this, and we'll take a look and see just how it panned out.
I think we all knew that a caution was going to come.
We did indeed, and that's so tough. That's the teammates there. That's Keister and Bowden who get together and bounce off of the fence, so they're in trouble, sitting right there in the middle of the racetrack. And those are two drivers that have been in the top 5 just about all night, Jesse.
Yeah, they've been in the top 5. They've been battling, and that's just, it's unfortunate to see that that's how it ended up for them. But we're going to be down inside of 10 laps to go once we hit the green, and it's about to get crazy again. It's about to get wild. $5,000 cash is on the line. $4,000 for the first place winner. So we are about to see some battling here, and they also have. I don't know how much patience is going to be left. I can just say that.
More importantly, Blake McCandless. So many cars coming down pit road. Take a peek at this, and let's see who's coming down to try and shake up the strategy a bit.
Well, Garrett Maines, Logan Clampett, a couple of drivers who were outside of the big money spots. And if you're in one of these positions, guess what? It doesn't matter. You're going to throw a Hail Mary right now because you want to go after that grand prize that's sitting at the end, $5,000. So Garrett Maines, Colin Keister, obviously involved in that accident, Logan Clampett, they're outside of it. And on the flip side, if you're Vicente Salas, if you're Briar LaPrade, you do not want to see that caution because you know you're going to have those fresh tires eating at your back bumper here in just a couple of laps.
Going to be inside of 10 laps to go. Also of note, to update Blake's list of fast repair drivers, Salas has not used his, Parker Retzlaff has not used his, Douglas Newbegin has not used his. Everybody else in this field is out of fast repairs at this stage. So any sort of incident at this point, we're going to see some folks probably have to come in and fix some damage, and that may be the end of their shot at the $4,000 prize going to the winner. There's a look at Salas again. Also of note, Jesse Kawuji. So many cool people at Equity Prime Mortgage that have helped out with the eRacing Association. We haven't had the chance to talk about them yet tonight. So for those who don't know about EPM, what do they do? What are they all about? And what do we need to know?
EPM, Equity Prime Mortgage have been with us for a while now with the eRacing Association, and I want to give a big shout out to Eddie Perez over there. He is a huge fan of esports, even though their business is about mortgages and helping people get into the dream homes of their life. You can visit www.epm.net so that you can make that happen. But even though that's what they do, Eddie is a huge fan and supporter of esports, and it's so awesome to see his company, his business, come into the esports world. And they do a lot of stuff in esports, but come into the sim racing world and support ERA, support our members, and help us put on events like this so that we can make sure that sim racers who are out there at home racing from their room can have the opportunity to win cash prizes, compete in front of thousands of people who are watching the event, and just overall have a great time. So big thanks to EPM, Equity Prime Mortgage. Thank you so much for your support.
Lights are off. Restart coming. Salas, the control machine, he takes off, drops it to the bottom. I got a good jump on Briar LaPrade, clear by a car length already. Here comes Retzlaff to the inside. Look at Logan Clampett back there, but Pisoko taking it 3 wide.
Oh, and hard into the outside walls. The car behind them, it is not going to stay green. It translates into a caution, and this is not what Logan Clampett wanted to see, James. You can see involved in the incident there, horsed on the inside of the racetrack, but Clampett is the lead car with those fresh tires. He wanted to maximize green flag laps left in this race. He does advance to third, so he'll have a real shot as we start to think about overtime.
So Harris was the one who got involved. This all sort of started because I don't think that Derek Fulton expected Clampett to be to his inside and take it 3 wide coming out of turn 2, Jesse, and then it all stacked up at the back straightaway, and Garrett Conrath was swept up in this. Colin Keister got a piece of this, and a few other cars as well.
We all knew that this was going to happen. We had $5,000 on the line and only a few laps to go at Bristol. People are going to send it, and I expect that they're going to continue to send it, but they only have 3 attempts at a green-white checker. So with that being said, they can't continue to send it the rest of the night. At some point, the race will be over, and we will crown a Omega Cup Series Fall Bowl winner. So we'll see what happens, but I don't expect that it's going to calm down at all.
And speaking of bowl winners, how about this guy, Vicente Salas, a race leader who, if you remember, won the Summer Bowl. It was also presented by Equity Prime Mortgage back in May at Circuit of the Americas. Vicente looking to become the first driver to go back to back in the summer in the fall bowls, and a little bit of history here if you can get this done, no, Jesse?
Yeah, a little bit of history, and it's great to see Vicente back in our ERA or eRacing Association EPM Omega Cup Series FallBowl. It's great to see him. Man, he's a great driver. He's super competitive in everything he does, and he's found a way to stay calm, stay cool, stay collected, and just not make mistakes. But a lot can still happen. We still have a few laps to go, and we have some very, very angry bulls behind him ready to take that lead.
And also double file restarts coming here all the way to the end, Evan Persocco. So we've seen a lot of wild racing already tonight. I imagine we're going to see the wildest racing of the night right here when the money's on the line.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to find a lot of guys using a lot of patience here, right? And listen, Salas and LaPrade, Retzlaff as well in third. Looks like he'll hang on to the position. Those guys know how much of a disadvantage they are speed-wise, being some 46 laps older tires compared to the likes of Clampett and Maines. And because we're going 2x2, Clampett's going to be the outside of row number 2. He may look to go to the very outside, but this may actually work out for Garrett Maines, right? Inside of row 3, we've seen the 3 wide mostly come from guys with speed trying to duck underneath. So I wonder if Clampett actually gets stuck up on that outside line here, and if Garrett Maines can get the advantage and kind of take the baton for the 4-tire stops. Either way, those guys on 4 are going to be really quick, and even on a 2-lap sprint, if we get to that point, and as we are now pushing this thing possibly to 2 laps to go this next time by, even just 2 laps is going to be awfully difficult for those top 3 cars to hold on to.
Blake McCandless, what do you think of that hypothesis? Do you think Evan's got to get a read on things here?
I think he does, but guys, again, we have so much on the line. A natural green-white checkered. We could have 3 more. I don't really know what to say. I don't think any prediction can be wrong at this point, but we'll see very quickly. Vicente Salas, what kind of restart does he get here? You have fresh tires behind him.
Natural green-white checker coming up, maybe more, depending on how this pans out. But we'll take our first crack at trying to finish this off, and immediately Salas hit the gas and jumped out by a car length and a half, maybe 2. And the fresh tires for Logan Clampett means he's going to try and run the high line all the way up the racetrack, Jesse.
We have some contact right behind them. We'll see what happens. They're bumping and running. Someone gets loose. It's the wall, but we're still going. White flag is out. The white flag is out.
White flag is out. Vicente Salas clear of everybody by 2 or 3 car lengths. It's going to take a wild run in the corner for anyone to catch him. And as they wreck behind him, it won't matter. Vicente Salas comes across the line and wins the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association. Back to back goes the driver from California, Jesse Awuji. How about that?
Wow, Vicente Salas with the win. You can see the excitement on his face. Look at him. He's excited. He can't believe he just won $4,000. $4,000. That's pretty good for one night of work. It's not bad. And then he's spending a couple hours of his evening, and now he's about to get $4,000. You know he's excited. You can see it on his face. He's doing those victory donuts right now. We're sitting there watching him on that cam. He is excited. Oh, man, I can't wait to speak to him and see what this means for him.
You can see the excitement on his face, Jesse. That sort of passion, that sort of emotion. You can't fake that. That's genuine excitement, because it's not easy to win an eRacing Association Omega Cup event. You get a spring bowl, a summer bowl, a winter bowl, a fall bowl. Anytime you knock one of these down and add it to your resume, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's such a big deal. I mean, it's a lot of money on the line, and to come out here, compete, to get through the heat races, get to the main event day. Then from there, once you even make the main event day, you still got to qualify into the race. Once you qualify in, then you got to get through the entire race, 150 laps at Bristol, the last great Coliseum. It was a battle. It was a war. It was nuts. The entire race. He stayed cool. He stayed calm, he stayed collected, got to the end, and ended up winning the race. And now $4,000 will be going to him. And that's just a game changer right there.
Here's a look at that last restart. Jesse, what do you see from your perspective as a driver, both in real life and the sim?
Oh, he had an amazing restart. He didn't let the people behind him, he didn't let the people next to him, shake them at all. He didn't even give them an opportunity to challenge them. And that was a smart move on his part. He's an experienced driver on the sim. He knows what to do, and he stayed with it. Look at him, calm, cool, and collected. I mean, ice in his veins. He he knew exactly how to handle this restart.
Stretched it out big. There was almost a 5 or 6 car length gap at the end. Officially, 3/10 is the difference that Salas has over Garrett Maines, who comes home runner-up. Parker Retzlaff finished in the 3rd spot. 4th went to Colin Bowden. Brian LaPrade completed the top 5. Rhett Tucker finished in the 6th spot. 7th went to Garrett Conrath. Logan Clampett came home 8th after some late contact. Rocky Boyd with a nice recovery after getting caught up in some wrecks earlier. He finishes 9th this evening. And Derek Fulton completes the top 10. Evan Pizzoco.
And to continue it on through, the only driver to finish on the lead lap is Richard Woodruff, who rounds it out in the number 11 spot. And the rest of these drivers in the mix, including Dustin Stallings, who comes home in 12th position ahead of Douglas Newbegin. You've also got Donnie Fair and Guillaume Hesno through the top 15. Ben Horst, that late race incident, ends up with his 6 laps down ahead of Michael Larch in 17th position. Colin Keister was a perennial competitor in this race for much of it, finishes out in 18th position, ahead of the drivers who don't make it the distance, including Matthew T. Lee and Jason Schilling.
Well, and you got to remember, Evan, this is only part of that rundown. We continue to look back here. You look at the gap, 40, 50 laps down. A lot of these drivers taken out after using those fast repairs early. Wyatt Tinsley was up in the top 5, very competitive, much like Rhett Tucker had kind of forced his way up there, got some good track position. Unfortunately, wasn't able to work out for him. Cody Erdman, Ethan Fisher, Julian Ritchie completing your top 30. A lot of drivers just not having the luck that they envisioned coming out here tonight.
Top breaks here for everybody on this last page. Drew Ballesteros, Blake Lothian, Caleb Steimer, Jason Cameron Jr., Jeremy Little, all drivers that had some form of either real world or sim experience, but it didn't pan out for them tonight. Andrew Schrader, Brian Brolson, Paul Bergoli, Brandon Agerchich, and Cody Smith complete the 40-car field in this 2021 eRacing Association Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl. But now we are joined by the man who is a back-to-back winner of Omega Cup events, Jesse Woozy. How about you chat with our race winner, Vicente Salas?
Vicente, how does it feel to be a 2-time winner of our Omega Cup series? I mean, you ended up winning in May. Now you're winning again in September at Bristol. What are the emotions that are going through your mind right now after this amazing win here at Bristol?
I'm so fortunate and blessed to be here with this opportunity. And honestly, that whole race, I was just waiting for just a run past like 20 or 25 laps, just so that, the tire game would come into play. If you kept your tires a little bit cleaner, you'd drive up to the front. And I was just trying to roll that bottom to keep my tires nice and cool. And finally, we went green there for I think 15 laps before the caution came out. And we were able to take the lead and never really look back.
That is awesome to hear. And you've done so good at these events. What does it mean to you to have events like this where there's these big one-off events where they were giving away big cash prizes to our members? What does something like that mean for a sim racer like you?
Honestly, it's a huge opportunity to not only obviously win the cash prize, but just race against some of the best. You got Logan in here, Parker, who races ARCA in real life, Garrett, a bunch of Coke Series drivers, people with high ratings. It's just about that experience. When there's a prize, it draws the competition, and the learning opportunities are endless.
Yes, it is. And that's for sure. There's a lot of great competition in this race, and you battled a lot of good people. How did it feel driving this Gen 7 car here at Bristol for 150 laps?
Honestly, it was a blast. That last run we had for 20 laps, it was absolutely awesome. You had people ripping the wall. I was on the apron. People were in the middle, 3 wide, 2 wide. I mean, it was a total blast. You could run wherever you wanted, and it was awesome.
That's good to hear. So that means we need to have more events with Gen 7 cars. Okay, noted.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Vicente. Good job on that win. $4,000 is going to you. I know you're pretty pumped about that. Thank you so much for competing in our events. And hopefully we see you at the next one, which will be the Winter Bowl in December.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate you guys putting on these events and everyone at Podium Esports Broadcasting. I'd also real quick like to thank my guys that were supporting me, Josh Kosick for being on the box. Parker, me and him are racing there. We're teammates, and he let me buy there, let me go up there and race with the leaders, and I can't appreciate him more. everyone at Space Station Gaming, and all the guys at home that support me. So shout out to everybody.
Got to remember the people who are supporting you. So thank you so much, Vicente. Good job on tonight's victory.
Thank you. I'll have a great night.
Oh, hold on. Before we let him go, Jesse, yes, he's won the $4,000, but he's won something else now, hasn't he?
Oh yeah, that is right, Vicente. So not only did you win the cash prize, you also get an opportunity to virtually hang out with the all-time leading rusher of the NFL, Emmitt Smith, on the Notable Live platform. So make sure you're wearing your Cowboys merch. Make sure you got the Emmitt Smith jersey on. You're going to be hanging out with him on Notable Live, asking him questions, and being the coolest person of the day, because that is something that you just won from this race. So good job.
Heck yeah, I'm with that. I'm looking forward to it.
So all the prizes now all covered there for Vicente Salas, who goes back-to-back too. I think that's also an important part of this that we need to note. First driver to have the opportunity to do that in the eRacing Association. Second place tonight was Garrett Maines. And Garrett, maybe not quite the win that you wanted, but the fresh tires almost worked at the end.
Yeah, it just kills me. I went back and watched, how that all unfolded, just how I got put in that position, and we never touched. I don't know if that was caught on the broadcast, but just tough luck. Like, just wrong place, definitely wrong time. Just didn't play out. We got caught off on the strategy. I think it would have worked if it had gone green. Unfortunately, the caution we needed to not come out was me. So we definitely had to battle back from that, and then I was off. I was on 2 tires actually after the crash, which was not helping me at all either. For whatever reason, it was tight. Probably not taking the fuel, whatever. It just did not play that out right either. Just one thing after another. Thankfully, that caution that did come out at the end, obviously that benefited me, and I really wanted that to go green. From that lap to the end, I think it would have had a totally different result, but not enough time. Just ran out of time. I was right there where I needed to be at the end, just ran out of time to get it done.
But you've been there. I think that's the biggest key. You were there in May when we were at Circuit of the Americas. You were here in the mix tonight. Well, imagine you're going to take a crack at the Winter Bowl come December, and have to believe maybe that's the one you have circled, and maybe that's the one where the luck changes just a bit.
I hope so, man. You said I was there. Frig, I was leading. So that's the part that kills me the most. I felt like I was in the position to actually win the race. It was my race to lose, and it definitely didn't go my way. So definitely looking forward to the next race, and hopefully we can get the big check for that one.
Yep, big checks are always fun. It's awesome. I guess beyond that, though, and before we get to that, you've got some business in the Coke Series to tend to top 20 to try and knock out between races at Talladega and Texas. Thinking that, again, good finishes like this and what we saw in the Retro 500 help build you up to good finishes there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, obviously, my luck in the Coke Series has been not the best, to say the least, the last few weeks. We brought pretty good cars, especially at Bristol, to the track, and literally nothing to show for it. Just could not be in a worse position. If there's a crash going on the track, I'm the recipient of the bad end of the stick, it seems like recently. So I'm hoping that turns around at the the track we all roll the dice, Talladega. Hopefully I can, get lucky and get a good finish there. Then we go to Texas. Hopefully we can have a good car there, just be at the right place, because that's basically a slightly smaller Talladega with the way the package is now. So, I needed to play out my way. I think, running these races, obviously, it shows that, the front runners that are up there, we're in the Coke Series for a reason. It kills me. Every time I see, I feel like I have that opportunity to go perform in the Coke Series, just the luck doesn't come my way. So, hopefully we can get it together. Hopefully we can put one together, next week and get ourselves in position to stay in the series for next year, not have to go through contender, and come back around for the Winter Bowl.
Well, Garrett, congratulations on your runner-up finish. Thanks as always for the time, and best of luck over these next few weeks.
Yeah, appreciate it. I got to give a shout out to OfferPad, Smithfield, Lennox, Nutrient Ag Solutions, Digital Hub, everybody at Elliott Sadler Esports. definitely, like I said, it's been an up and down year, but really cool to be able to represent them this year. And I know we're standing out on the racetrack. And congrats to Vicente tonight for winning.
It's Garrett Maines driving the Toyota Camry for Elliott Sadler Esports and coming home P2. P3 was Parker Retzlaff, continuing his run of success on the short tracks and iRacing no matter what the vehicle. He's with our Evan Pasoko.
Yeah, not all is lost for your pole sitter today, Parker Retzlaff, who comes home in third and walks away with $250. Parker, congratulations on a good finish. First question, that call to stay out at the end of the race there on the old tires wasn't necessarily the wrong one. It's the same call that puts Vicente in victory lane, but just talk us through that one in that last restart.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I didn't know that many people were going to pit it. I wasn't even really looking at how many cars were on the lead lap. So I feel like if I would have known that, I probably would have went down and took that same strategy as them. But I stayed out and just hoped for the best and hoped that I could get the best finish out of it.
Looked like it was going to be a good night for you, but obviously coming into this one, you've got some success here in our history with the eRacing Association. You won that inaugural Winter Bowl back at Nashville. Best in practice, best in qualifying. Over the course of this 150-lap race, which saw a lot of yellows and restarts in that first half, where did things maybe step away from you a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I dropped back early in the race. Me and Vicente just planned on saving our tires and it ended up just being cautions for the first, 70 laps, 80 laps. So that whole thing was kind of out the window. And then I pitted and I was just trying to get to the lead because I knew that clean air was going to be what I needed. And I think I ended up just burning my right front tire off too much. And then it just got really, really tight and I couldn't do anything with the front couple guys.
We know that you're not afraid of a challenge here on the sim. We see you competing in all sorts of events here on Podium and across the board. To take on this challenge, right, in these next-gen cars at Bristol, what was that like from behind the wheel?
Yeah, I mean, it was really the first time I've ever raced these things, so it was a new experience for me. But I need to start racing them more, so it was a fun experience, and I definitely want to do this again.
You finished third to guys like Vicente Salas and Garrett Maines, right, drivers in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Can you take that away from this race, finishing third to those guys, or in your mind, it doesn't matter, you want to be on top?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to win, but it's cool to see Vicente win since we were working together and we were kind of on the same strategy. So it's definitely cool to see my teammate win, but I wanted to be there.
Well, it's still a solid finish. Like I mentioned, you're in the money today, Parker. Before we let you go, anybody you want to say hi to?
I just have to thank Ponzi, EcoTrax, Iron Horse Loggers, Grill Lads, Blackstone Management, my parents. I know they're watching. Thank you for everything they do for me. Vicente for working with me the whole race, and just everyone who put this whole thing on.
Well, we appreciate you sticking around and giving us the insights, Parker. Again, congratulations on the good finish here tonight at Bristol. Best of luck going forward. Looking forward to seeing what's next for you.
Thank you.
It's your P3 finisher, James, here from Bristol. And again, wasn't a big difference, but a good, strong P3 finish for one of the best short trackers on the circuit.
One of the best short trackers indeed. He's got one of the highest I ratings in all of oval sim racing. Moving on to fourth place, Colin Bowden, the big dog, is with Blake McGannis.
Well, and Colin Bowden, you really had an opportunity to lead a good portion near the end of that race. You were holding off Briar LaPrade for Vicente Salas. What more did you need there when you were out front to try to hold those guys off and get the victory tonight?
I guess really just a understanding of what these cars like. I mean, this is the first real race I've done with them, and I didn't know the tire wear was that bad, but I wasn't going to give the lead up at that point. I really thought we'd have a few more cautions with 50 to go. That long run really didn't play out in my advantage, but I felt like the best thing to do was try and hold the lead and just hope for some cautions, and I think we would have been okay, but we just burnt the right front off of it.
Well, and talking about that challenge with this new car, and how is it trying to balance with all of that? You see the troubles that Garrett Maines and a couple other drivers you were competing with run into in the middle of the race, losing that track position. And was that kind of your thought, that track position kind of usurped saving those tires?
Yeah, with some of the lappers in here and some of the people that were a little off the pace, I wasn't willing to get in the back. I was going to try everything to get track position. I thought clean air was a real big key to it, and I felt like if I could keep clean air, I would be able to at least keep the tires on it. But not running these cars enough. Vicente did a really good job saving his tires, and there wasn't nothing you could do about it. Just inexperience, really, and he just made a better decision on driving on what to do.
Well, and with that experience, obviously, as a competitor in the NASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing series, what were kind of the differences between, running this next-gen car and what a lot of people can relate to and what they've seen in either the truck or the cup car that are typically run here?
Just this car, it's just not much, in my opinion, just not the best thing to drive. I mean, I don't enjoy it that much, but that's my first race. I mean, it might grow on me, but just more so racing around with people. I mean, it's the same people we usually race around, so you kind of know what to expect, know how aggressive they are. That's more so than the car, I would think.
Well, I could think of somebody who won a race at Bristol in a new car and didn't exactly enjoy it either, but hopefully things change as time goes along. But Colin, thank you for competing tonight, and you do get to take home $150, so not leaving empty-handed, my friend.
Yeah, just bought a car today. Every little bit will help.
There you go, Colin. We appreciate you, and congratulations on the top 5 tonight.
Thank you. I just got to thank Will Rogers, Jake Fisher, and everybody at Space Station Racing for doing everything for me. Really appreciate it.
All right, that is Colin Bowden, James.
How about that? A 14-year-old reference there in the making. Blake McCandless, as we now turn to the last man in the top 5. Brian LaPrade is with the main man here, Jesse Awuji.
So how's it going, Brian? How do you feel for this race? I mean, you finished 5th, not bad. Obviously, you wanted to take the win, but, how did today feel competing with all of these great competitors at Bristol?
Yeah, it was awesome. I had a fun time. It definitely sucks, though, just seeing 4K right in front of you. You just got to get past the one car, and, well, a caution comes out, and you're on the 50-50 side. So just ended up being on the wrong side of the 50, and it sucks, but we'll take 5th. It still pays out, so I'm happy with that, but had a really fun time in the next-gen cars. These are a blast to drive. Hopefully I'll be driving them next year in the Coca-Cola series, but we'll see. Yeah.
Big aspirations and big dreams. We love to see that, and that's why we're here putting on these events. What does it mean for you to have events like this where you can jump in, compete, battle your way in? It's not based on this, based on that. It's just based on straight, hey, can you fight your way into this race? What does it mean to you to have an event like this you can compete in and potentially win $4,000?
That's a great feeling. Usually I got some names in there that run the eNASCAR Road to Pro series, and then you got people like Clampett, Maines, and Vicente in there. Those guys are Coke drivers, so it's always good to see how I compare to those guys. Because they're great competition, honestly. Great to try and compare yourself to. But yeah, I had a blast out there. Obviously, wish results were a little bit different. I was following one space station car, and he was a rocket, and I looked in my mirror, and there's another rocket. So I got the space station name right, that's for sure, because they were flying out there.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, and there's a lot of great competition. You get to really compare your skills against some of the best in sim racing. So to watch you out there competing lap after lap and then just finding a way to hang in there for the top 5, I mean, that was super cool to see. How did it feel, knowing that you were racing in front of thousands and thousands of people who were watching this event, including, folks on NASCAR's YouTube?
Oh, that's an awesome feeling, for sure. Never been on that kind of level, honestly. You got the eNASCAR Road to Pro Series, which is on the come up, honestly. Viewership's been on the rise for that. But, it being on a bigger stage like that, definitely nerves kick in. You're racing for a lot of money. So, things like that happen. And, well, just went out there and did my best, honestly.
Well, you did a great job, Briar. You came in the top 5, which is no easy feat at all, especially with 40 people racing and trying to get to that top 5 and win some cash money. So good job. Great race. Is there anybody you want to thank? Any sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you guys for the broadcast. Jesse, you for putting on this event. Ledford Billiard Supply, Cameron Ledford. Check him out at ledfordbilliardsupply.com. Flat Out Racing Network, JDR Graphics, Anthony Alfredo, Lockdown Racing, Sim Seats, Garage Guys, MPI. Am I missing one? Jeff McConey. I think I called him out. I'm not sure. I got a lot of great supporters, so it's always nice to have that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for competing in the event. Hope to see you at the next one, the Winter Bowl, which is going to be coming in December. We'll have a lot of information going out for that one here pretty soon. But thanks so much for competing. Good job. Top 5 finish. And we'll see you at the next.
Yep, thank you. I'll see you at the next one.
Brian LaPlante comes home in the 5th spot, and rounds out our top 5 interviews for this evening on the Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup FallBowl for the eRacing Association. And I guess just to bring in our crew for their final thoughts. We'll start first with the man down on pit road, Blake McCandless. What'd you see tonight? What'd you feel tonight? What do you take away from 150 laps at Bristol?
Well, you know, James, I think the one thing we can take away is that these races are totally unpredictable. When we get long runs, when we get short runs, drivers are going to be willing to do everything with the money that's on the line to get first. Second isn't good enough in a race like this. I think of these events almost like an all-star race, where if you're the winner, you take home the check, you get to brag to all your friends, and if you're second on back, guess what? In a couple months, you probably won't remember where you finished. So drivers are willing to do anything it takes to win, and I think we saw that play out tonight.
Evan Pisocchio, you saw a lot, especially on these restarts, but of everything you've seen this week, what stands out to you the most?
Well, I think that it comes down to the end of the race, right? We mentioned that we had those cautions and starts through the half or so, but some of that strategy kicked in at the end. Drivers able to stay out on some of the older tires. Fresh tires I thought was going to come through in the end. They did not. And really just a fun challenge, right? Get the next-gen cars on, put them at a bull ring like Bristol, keep them on their toes. That's what we have quickly learned that the ERA is all about. And another fun night. It's always fun when you can see some of the best get out there and get rewarded with some of their talent. Watch the best.
And if history is any indication, we may very well see this combo on the Coke Series schedule next year. Bristol's been a favorite of that series for a long, long while, so I wouldn't be shocked if we see the same cars and even some of the same faces going for the checkered flag when we get to it in 2022. Jesse Awuji, you name dropped this event at the end of the Summer Bowl once we wrapped up from COTA back in May, and I think immediately everybody's ears perked up because Bristol's a special, special place, and the next-gen car presents so much promise, so much of what's new, what's upcoming in the world of NASCAR. Now that we've seen it all bear out before us, how's it delivered for you, and how excited are you to have seen this go off as well as it has?
We're hitting our 1-year anniversary now, and it's been pretty cool to see that these events have all gone really well since the first one we had at Nashville, then we went to Daytona, then COTA, now Bristol. It's been absolutely epic just to see the joy that it's brought to the sim racing world. People are getting an opportunity to come compete for these events, and anyone can qualify their way in as long as they're skilled enough to get through it. You don't have to go through a very long, rigorous type of qualifying format where it's like weeks and weeks, months and months, or whatever. We have a heat race day on Monday, and then go in on Wednesday for the actual main event day. And if you qualify in, you qualify in. I mean, it's pretty simple, and it's just giving people an opportunity to feel like a pro, be able to sit at home, sim race, and potentially win $4,000, or even if you're second or third or fourth or fifth, you still win cash prizes. And now our winner is also going to get a chance to hang out virtually with Emmett Smith. I mean, it's just amazing all the way around. But we got to definitely thank our sponsors, EPM, Equity Prime Mortgage, Gapham, Notable Live, Redlist, all the folks who have been with us and helped us. Podium Esports, thank you so much for the broadcasting effort. I mean, it feels like TV, looks like TV. It's absolutely amazing. Everybody has put in so much hard work. Our team at ERA, Matt Casto, Tim, Sean, everybody who's been part of this whole thing, and even the new folks we're bringing in to help out. It's just been an absolute joy to be able to do this and see how it's been able to positively affect people's lives. And that's all we do. We hope people. We give them hope for a potential better life in whatever they're trying to do. And that's what ERA is about. So it's been super exciting. I'm pretty pumped for the Winter Bowl. And you might ask, what's the track that we're going to run for the Winter Bowl? Well, guess what? Guess what? It's going to be a surprise track. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. It's going to be a surprise track. Stay tuned.
Can't even tell us the car, the vehicle at all, maybe truck, maybe something different, in any sort of hints whatsoever at the Winter Bowl coming up?
It's probably going to be a Gen 7 car most likely, but the actual track, stay tuned.
So the first proper surprise. But yeah, if people want to stay in touch with the ERA, if people want to get involved with Notable Live, if people want to get involved with Gapham or the Red List, Jesse, how can they get involved and how can they engage with so many of the great partners that are involved with the eRacing Association?
Well, right now, since they're not watching the event because the event's over, they can go onto all those different social media networks and follow all of those sponsors. Also, head to their websites and sign up for their programs. So, for ERA, head to www.eragaming.gg, sign up to become a member. For Notable Live, head to Notable Live's website, which is www.notable.live, and sign up for their platform. For GAPM, just go onto your app store on your phone and download GAPM. That's GAPEM. And then for the Red List group, if you're in Southern California and you want to come out and check out a cool drag racing event or bring out your street car to that drag racing event, go to theredlistgroup.com. You can find out more information there on our next event, which will actually be in December as well. So yes, a lot of great stuff going on in the sports world for motorsports and esports. And big thanks to iRacing, NASCAR, and all the folks who are helping us continue to make this thing bigger, make it better for the sim racers out there, continue to grow our beloved stock car racing sport. And, it's just been super exciting. And, man, I just got to give a big thanks to all who are involved to help make this happen.
I think we covered everything there. Jesse, anything else that slipped you the first time you would have cycled back to? But I think we got it all.
Yeah, I think I hit it all.
Which means that it's time for us to send our thank yous to everyone who's helped make this happen. Of course, we at Podium Esports will echo the big thank yous to all the supporters of the eRacing Association, Equity Prime Mortgage, GAPM, the Red List, Notable Live for helping put on the eRacing Association Omega Cup FallBowl for 2021. We'd also be remiss not to give thanks to the people that have helped make this possible. Matt Castro and Sean Yoder at the eRacing Association. Race control this evening and for the heats on Monday night, William Hale, Brandon Davis, Michael Hall. Our team behind the scenes at Podium Esports that helps makes things happen, Gary Sexton, Cisco Scaramuza, John Theodore, our producer Ryan Bauer, my colleagues here, Evan Pasoko, Blake McCandless, Jesse Awuji, and then of course the folks at NASCAR for letting us get up on their YouTube, to iRacing for letting us get up on their platforms, and all of you that have been watching wherever you may be. I am James Pike. Thank you so much for watching Podium Esports coverage, the 2021 Equity Prime Mortgage eRacing Association Omega Cup FallBowl from the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Congratulations to tonight's winner, Vicente Salas, and we will see you for the Omega Cup Winter Bowl in December 2021.
struggle finding someone to race with, someone to compete with, or flat out someone just to give the Gap sauce? Well, you should check out the Gapum app.
Gapum is the only app that will allow you to race people locally, share videos, and attend events.
And after you race, you can actually take your racing video and post it in the Gapum Postum section so the whole world can see. And even if you're not a racer, you can always head to our Gapum app crew mode section where you and some friends can continue to meet up, go to car meets, go to car events, car shows, anything that has nothing to do with going to the racetrack.
Gapum is a one-stop shop for the car world.
Looks like I just got a match on the Gapum app. Time to serve someone some Gapple beans.
Ready, set, Gapum.